Hey guys, we are right now live on Twitch, and if you're watching this on YouTube, well, basically, I thought we'll do something a bit fun for my channel. I've got over here the entire list of Marvel Phase 4 content, just missing the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special because that's not technically part of Phase 4, it's an epilogue as explained by James Gunn, but we've got to feature that at the end as well because why not? But yeah, I thought it'd be a good time to do this. In less than 2 weeks from now, Phase 5 will be kicking off with Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. And why not? We'll go through it all one by one, bit by and give it a overall category and tier list. I will be doing it in release date order, so we're starting off over here with WandaVision, and as you can see, it ends with Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special as well. Ignoring this one because it's just a short series, so we don't be bothered with the I Am Groot series. Just because the world of the internet this day and age is a tribal system, unfortunately, out there. Everyone goes into their own little hurdle, and if you don't agree with the hurdle, you're automatically a social outcast, and you will be targeted upon. Yeah, so just to get that all out of the way, hopefully the mature people are listening. This is just a personal point of view. Surprisingly, humans can have that. So I'm not over here claiming to be anyone like professional. Like I'm not a content writer. I don't work for a magazine. I don't claim to be a film reviewer or professional in any way in the industry. I'm just your everyday average cinema goer, a bit of a nerd, a bit of a geek, and I like damn Marvel content. That's simple as it gets. So yeah, I have to address that. I thought like might as well get that off the chest. So then, with that being said, there will be things that I like that you guys may not necessarily agree on. I will try my best to give a brief summary of it. If I go on a bit of a tangent, I don't know how long this vid's gonna be, but if it does happen, then you know what, you're welcome to skip the list as we go along. But if you want a detailed explanation, then I'll try to do this all, I guess, within an hour. Let's just give myself that time frame. Right, so kicking it off with guys, we got WandaVision. So I'm gonna go ahead. Where is WandaVision? I'm gonna put that in A. Right, so right, let's start off with the obvious thing. Right, at the end of the whole damn series, she goes, They'll know what you sacrificed for them." Like what? She brainwashed the entire freaking population. She mind controlled them. That is some King John Un stuff all going on over here. She basically turned a part of an American village into North Korea. And yeah, I do think that is completely wrong. And I do think what the hell were the writers were thinking. But in terms of the overall experience, what a way to introduce the Marvel TV series. Like, the first episode was crazy. Obviously, when we left off Wanda, she pretty much said goodbye to every one of her loved ones. So she was pretty much standing alone in the funeral of Tony Stark as well. So we were wondering what direction they were going to go with her. I didn't even know what the arc was going to be like, and of course, it was it's a bit a mysterious lore to it. And then when Quicksilver came in, my mind was blown. I even thought at one point, I'm like, Magneto could now show up. Holy crap, Marvel has done it. They're going to be transporting across everything from previous films, from Sony to coming across onto the MCU. I was like getting excited, but obviously it didn't turn out that Magneto showed up, but it set it up an expectation, a bar that Marvel are going to be aiming for, I think. And honestly, just that having that initial excitement, that feeling, and wanting to watch, get onto the next episode next week, that will definitely, in my eyes, deserves an A, just because of the whole emotion and feeling behind it. Definitely boosts it up to that level. Falcon and Winter Soldier is next, so where is that? There it is. Here we go. So we're gonna put that as an A as well. Again, a lot of people are critical with this because they're like, "You gotta do better, Senator," and I get it. Anthony Mackie, great actor to be honest. But unfortunately, you can't. Terrible writing is terrible writing. But I would say I feel like people have been a bit harsh on him because I think they can't see him being Captain America. Again, Chris Evans is a huge actor, and you understand it's not easy to see the mantle being passed across. and in a way that kind of that writing killed it off. But there is some stuff over there for me. There are some scenes that are very, very impactful, like just seeing the Captain America's shield covered in blood, the political message behind that. I was like, that for me is stuck in my head. There was a lot of fun there involved. I feel like the characters did even get developed. Of course, we saw Falcon taking on the more of the, getting used to the shield, taking on, identifying himself as Captain America, as that mantle of responsibility, feeling worthy for that. And again, Winter Soldier moving past all the dark part history that he has had and using himself now for a force of good, to who he originally was before he got brainwashed by the Soviet Union. So I feel like the character arc and developments were there, and they at least focused on that, which is saying a lot in terms of the other projects that we're going to be discussing over here, because at least they kept the title, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, focused on them. Questionable characters like Power Broker, was it Nero, Purple Mask, dancing, wicked dancing, I'll give him that. But yeah, it's a bit, I don't know what they were trying to do, but and again, I don't think the villain, the antagonist, I forgot her name, but she wasn't great, but nothing's perfect, I guess. Loki season 1, I'm gonna have to put this in B. So, long story short, it didn't feel like the Loki that I know of. I think the reason why it even gets a B, because it was the introduction of the multiverse. Obviously, we got the first stage of Kang the Conqueror, not technically Kang, but we're the person of what's gonna be the reason why he comes into existence. I think that in itself kind of opened up the gate of what we can expect for the next future phases. So there is that. But in terms of Loki, because he's been there since 4-1, more than a decade of established character. Feels like there's been a bit of a 180 with him. I feel like he's been shadowed in his own series a bit as well. And it's not the Loki that I remember of. But there is a bit of fun elements to it at the end of the day, like seeing the variant, seeing the concept of the multiverse come into existence. That in my eyes was, it still made it a bit worthy to watch, although be it that I do feel like Loki did get tarnished in the show. Moving on, we got Black Widow. Right, so let's go in and see. Right, so the reason why I'm gonna give this a C, because firstly it came out at the wrong time. I understand the pandemic, it got postponed. I completely get it, and I think that's what kind of killed off the expectation, because it is a movie at the day. It killed off the expectation of going into cinema of what I could expect, because obviously the Black Widow arc has ended at that point, and we all know she dies in Phase in Endgame. Oh yeah, by the way, if it wasn't clear enough, I am going to make spoilers, and I don't care. You've already committed to watching this. Why would you watch it if we didn't expect it to be spoilers? But getting that off my chest, she dies, and now I guess it's kind of in a way seeing that who the torch is going to get passed on to, which is obviously her sister, who's going to be part of the Thunderbolts team. Some of the comedy aspects did get hit quite well. The storyline was simple, but it was there at least. But in terms of overall, emotional impact, in terms of overall development of Black Widow, I don't feel like I learned anything much major new, other than here's an introduction to her family. It's like, all right, here we go. This is the episode of Black Widow if it was Simpsons settings, basically, in my eyes. And I think that's the shameful thing. If it came out before Endgame, maybe it would have done a lot better. And I did remember giving it 6.5 or 7 out of 10 when I watched it, because it did have decent action scenes, but it just doesn't carry the weight of a big mega blockbuster movie. The budget that they put behind this, it just didn't live up to that expectation. Right. Next up, we got What If. I am definitely going to give this an A. Where is it? Yep, here we go. So, What If did have some questionable episodes, did have some episodes that were complete fillers that I did not enjoy whatsoever, like the one with Thor coming down to have a great massive party on Earth, like what the hell. But then there was an episode that deserved the S tier category. Like I loved the final two episodes of the series as well, and I've seen a lot of people be critical on this online. Because they felt like it was very rushed. It was like got to A to Z very quickly in terms of like within the 30 minutes. Bear in mind they only got 30 minutes per episode. But that, what do you expect? Firstly, they got that time frame, and they're not gonna hold your hand and walk you through it all. They expect you to do your research beforehand. They expected you to watch the movies. The whole thing of what if is what if, like, so find out what would happen originally. That's up to you guys to find out, which I feel like to some people took that a bit too into the heart, because they felt like it was very very rushed, and that what ruined it. But again, for an overall, it was fun for me. There was it opened up the concept for me a bit more of the multiverse. There was a lot of storylines, like I did say, that I did really really enjoy, and I would be looking forward to seeing a season 2 once again. Well, what we got next? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Right, this one I'm going to talk about a bit, because I'm going to put this right on S. Right, here we go. So this is where I feel like it's going to start dividing the community a bit, because they're going to be like, what? You give Shang-Chi an S? And here, listen to me right straight away. Firstly, right, I absolutely freaking love this movie, and the more it's gone on in time, the more I end up appreciating it. I'm gonna give it even a 9 out of 10 now. There's a couple of reasons why I'm giving it such a high rating. I love the action scene. I love the fight actions. It felt like old style kung fu like movies when you're watching martial art movies, and it gave me that energy and that vibe as well, which is perfect for the Shang-Chi culture and tradition. Secondly, the antagonist and protagonist, the storyline arc worked so well. Like, we understand why his father was doing what he was doing, and we also understand Shang-Chi's motivation behind it, which is it's a perfect combo when you can work with that, when you can understand both hero and the villain storyline. Guess what? It works fantastically. Second thing, the third thing I'm completely aware of, it's a family movie, guys. It has to keep a bit of elements of fun in there and a bit of entertainment, and I think it did that wondrously. Like, obviously we got that cute little plushie like Morris over there. I want a Morris plush. Seeing over that fun storyline, we've seen the Mandarin. I feel like that was a bit funny moment where the Mandarin is there a bit now. Obviously, we got the real Mandarin, but Ben Kingsley shows up, and just the fact that that the kind of recorrecting errors of the past that they brought forward. I love that they did that, and then as well at the same time, the MCU is already an established, obviously, cinematic at this point, but introducing a new character is never going to be easy. And how can they make that adapt into, for the next Avengers? Because obviously, they're gonna want Shang-Chi to be part of the next Avengers, and I think I could easily see him doing that. Like, for me, it transcended the culture barriers, and I could see him being a very, very good hero, as a good protagonist in the future. And to be fair, overall, right, the things that people I have seen complain about on the internet, I feel like it's where the wokeness and anti-wokeness come together to clash for us, as they always now end up doing. But the critical sides that I've heard is, oh, he should why is he fighting his sister? His sister shouldn't be able to like beat him in a cage match. He's been training since his childhood. And I'm like, he wasn't trying to go for his sister. He wasn't trying to defeat her. He was trying to disarm her. If anything, he was trying to stop the fight. Like, were you guys watching the same movie? I feel like some people put salt in their eyes because they want to see their own point of view, and that's where it kind of divides me in the community a bit. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of like YouTubers like such as Critical Drinker and Nerd Erotic that do tend to be critical on these type of movies, but for me, I'm taking it as an overall package, and I think people from like who are critical with these type of movies, they can even understand that the entertainment value that most people go through, and most audiences share, and I think it just became a bit of like, when you see your side of the point of view a lot, it's easy to narrow the view down. Like, I can turn any movie into a D movie if I really, really wanted to focus on that. But for me, the overall factor, the overall fun of it, how did I feel like I got my money's worth? Yep, and I'll happily go and see a sequel. Shang-Chi, keep it up. Forget the whole Twitter pop or whatever's going on. I don't care what's happening with the actor and all the the, let's just say, what minor controversies around it. That for me doesn't matter. Great movie, happily see a sequel. S tier any day. Eternals, right? So we've gone from an S to rate to D, right? This is absolutely gotta be one of the worst movies I've seen of all time, and that D might as well stand for. I don't even know. Name it anything on some stuff that I can't say on YouTube without getting demonetized. But holy crap! So basically, this came out in 2021. I think about it, it was just over an anniversary of my marriage, and I said to my missus, "Look, I was wrong about Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's go and see and watch this." And she was like, "No, it's gonna be rubbish. I could feel it. You even said that you're not 100% sure. Let's just do this instead." I'm like, "No, no, trust me, back me up on this. Right? Let's go ahead and watch this." Never were we so bored at cinema. I think I looked at my mobile more time I did than the actual damn movie. At the end of the day, I think it had the same effect as Justice League, where you're introducing so many characters, you don't have the time to develop each individual character. In fact, I feel like the Kit Harington's character, the Black Knight, or I don't know what it's called, had more development, more progress, more of a structured storyline in that 10 minutes that he was featured in than the entire freaking cast of Eternals. And that just goes to prove star power isn't everything without great structure or storyline. And the whole point about the Eternals is meant to be different type of these godlike beings with different personality powers, but all coming together to work well as a team. And it just didn't gel well for me. It was absolutely pouring. There was no like real sense of urgency. There was no sense of like that there was something really on stake at hands. It's just absolutely boring, and I can't say anything. And in fact, that D miles would stand for divorce in my eyes, because I swear my wife wanted to divorce me after I put her through that slugfest. And to this day and age, she always uses it against me. Like anytime I bring up a movie, she never now does not completely trust me. And you know what? You never give your if any guy knows in a relationship, you never give your missus ammo. Eternals gave her a full freaking machine gun and a nuclear bomb to use against me in the future. So that well done, Eternals. Thank you for cursing me for the rest of my entire existence. Appreciate that. Moving on, guys. We got Hawkeye. Here we go. We got another one where I think it's going to open up a bit of a conversation point, at least to say, because I've got friends that like this series, but I really, really did not appreciate it. I did not like it, and this is where I'm going to go a bit of a stingent rant again. So Kate Bishop is a very established character for the comic book series. Like she's not seen as a sidekick in the sense of Hawkeye. She's seen as pretty much someone that can do what Hawkeye does do, but brings on a more of a I guess a younger attitude role into it. Like she's meant to be the new generation's Hawkeye. She's meant to be part of the Young Avengers, and honestly, her character is really, really established. And you even have to go and play the latest Avengers game to see that she's her own individual person. And right now, she's obviously meant to be in the phase where she's learning to gain the same, you could say the same abilities of Hawkeye, like practicing, being mentored. She's meant to take on more of a student role as of this time frame. But somehow they completely missed that angle and felt like it was acceptable for me to pull wool over my eyes and see a 5'5", maybe at tops, athletic woman take on a 6 foot plus hench mafia, Russian mafia man, and able to hold her own ground. Like what? Like the whole point about Kate Bishop is she's meant to be a lot more cunning, meant to be a lot more thoughtful, meant to be a lot more resourceful as well. Like, have you even done your research on the character? Like don't, especially now with Jeremy, I forgot her name, Jeremy Redner. I don't know the actor's name of Hawkeye. Damn, but obviously he's had his accident recently, and hopefully he has speedy recovery. But the whole point is to pass on the Burton. This is the whole thing. You can't then pass on the Burton if you automatically make a formidable straight away. What Burton is she gonna take on? She literally only used Hawkeye at best to get some more fancy arrows. That's it. That's all I saw that happening. And even the story arc of it, you could even see the inspiration of the characters. You saw Hawkeye jumping out, shooting arrows from freaking skyscraper whilst New York's getting invaded by aliens. Any kid would be inspired when they saw that. Any kid would. And they worked on the concept of that inspiration for her to become apprentice in a perfect setting, but then completely missed the ballpark. And it just to add further to insult, to put more salt in the wounds, Kingpin gets introduced, right, and gets hit by a 70 miles an hour car. As someone who knows, has been in a car accident at 70 miles an hour, I wasn't there walking away with explosion in the background, rubbing shoulders, flicking off my sunglasses like it's an 80s action movie. Hell no. Like, and yet Kingpin walks away, stands up like, come on, let's go round two like it's Rocky Balboa. Like, what the hell are you doing? What I even justified it to some extent to think, did he take one of them serums in Falcon and Winter Soldier? Is this like a new introduction that they're doing to Kingpin to show that he is more stronger than we thought he was? None of that got introduced. We just meant to believe that he just took a full hit by a car and he's able to brush it off. Get out of here. I'm not believing any of that crap. I'm not hearing this as well, where they go like, it's anti-feminine because you say a woman can't stand up her own ground to beat a guy. No, I'm saying realism. I'm saying realistically, even if it's an MMA fighter who's 5 foot tall, she goes up against a bouncer, especially if she's not even fully trained up yet, which is what meant to be what Kate Bishop is at this point of time. There's no chance. That's not me being anti-feminist. That's me being honest and reasonable. And the whole thing as well, it's not even meant to be about that. Kate Bishop is meant to develop her into her own individual superhero for the Young Avengers. It's not even meant to go into that rant as well. That's the whole point of it, and they completely missed the nail on the head, honestly. Really, really disappointed with that one. Right, let's move on. What we got next? Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, so easily. Okay, there we go. S. What can I say about that? Like, literally, this was one of the magic moments in cinema history. Like, everyone stood up and clapped when they saw Tobey Maguire. Like, first when Andrew Garfield walked up, all the kids were like, "It's Amazing Spider-Man!" Like, just that atmosphere alone. And then when Tobey Maguire, all the millennials in the building united. I was like, oh my god, it's Tobey Maguire. That happened in my cinema at least, and I'm from Yorkshire, and these are the group of the most like the most miserable, depressed people in the entire existence in the UK. They really, you can't easily impress a Yorkshire person. For the fact that the entire cinema ended up clapping just goes to show the impact of just seeing that scene as well. Honestly, all the kids were there like, "Who's he? Who's he?" I was like, "That's our Spider-Man. That's the Spider-Man that we grew up with." And I'm just so glad to see the Spider-Man, mantle getting passed on from Iron Man, because he is the face of Marvel. He was always been the face. MCU obviously adopted Iron Man as they had to, but now it's Spider-Man's come home, baby. He is fully had a great set of trilogy, loved it all, and I really think Tom Holland is the perfect casting choice for him, for Spider-Man. Like, literally, he's got to hit the nail on the head. They got the kid look with him. They got the kid vibe to him, because he's meant to be at the end there, high schooler or college student. That's what he's meant to be. And honestly, the way that they portrayed it so well, and it just the fact that we never seen like the Uncle Ben scene in the Spider-Man in the Spider-Man MCU adaptation of it, because I think we all know by now, with great power comes great responsibility. Everyone knows that, but the fact that they still implemented that bit with Aunt May and it still carried the same weight and emotion, like, wow, like, just a well done job overall. Definitely Definitely my best one in Phase 4. There's nothing else that's going to beat that. Like, let's be honest. Come on, guys. If you think any of these were going to be uh, Spider-Man, then I don't know what you were thinking. Uh, Moving on, Moon Knight over there. Gonna put that in C. Right, this is where I feel like the cup. You don't do things half measured. You never do things half measured. If you're gonna do Moon Knight, and if you're gonna go dark, commit to the darkness. Commit to the dark side of the storyline. They kind of put a bit of touch. You've seen a bit of a peephole through it, where you did see his childhood abuse that informed into his multiple split personality disorder that came on later on as a result of that. And that's the thing, like the multiple split personality disorder is obviously a condition in real life. Is people that tend to end up suffering from that psychological condition tend to be victims of severe abuse at childhood, and I feel like they could have worked on that, especially opening a part of that up in more of the storyline for a hero side, a heroine side would have been perfect, because so far, like, stuff like we see, like, people that suffer from these conditions, like in Split, etc., they're more seen as a unstable character. But Moon Knight could have been a bit more of a different bridge scrap. I feel like it's a missed opportunity over there. Also, they try to introduce the other concepts of other characters over there, like, the Egyptian gods over and some silly stuff like the talking hippopotamus. Like, I don't even know where to even start with that. And then obviously Moon Knight's is it his wife? I guess it's his wife, at least his partner, fiance, something like that. She's becomes a hero on her own accordance. Got that kid saying, "Are you the first? Are you an Arab superhero?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am. That's my designation. This is what I was assigned to be for Marvel." It's like, oh god, they've gone down that angle, haven't they? Okay, right, cool. Let's move on. And that's it. Like, it felt like that they were trying to implement too many different things from too many different angles. It's like, well, but why are you making Moon Knight a third character in his own series? We didn't even get to understand the variants as much as we do like to um, within Moon Knight. And I think this is the thing, like, if you're gonna go with the dark series, go for it. Just don't be afraid to do it. Make it 18 plus. Like, at the end of the day, Blade worked in its own way at that time frame. Jessica Jones in Netflix series, that was dark, that was very grateful, but you ended up fighting. You wanted Jessica Jones to come out on top because of the turmoil that and the past trauma that she experienced with of Killjoy. I forgot his name, but with David Tennant's character. But yeah, you get to you got that emotional aspect of it. Don't be afraid to do that. Just do it, and I hope they don't do that to Blade. Please do not make Blade anything less under than 18. And I hope Moon Knight they change that up. I even hope they do that with Charlie Cox's Daredevil. So we'll move on. What we got next? Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. There we go. Never has a movie I was so hyped for it be such a disappointment. It wasn't as bad as Eternals. Nothing could be bad as that, like I said before. But it's very close to D. That is, to be honest. Yeah, I don't even know where to digest this part off, because it made me kind of like. Firstly, right, okay. Here's the whole thing. I'll sum up the 2 hour storyline for you. The understanding of the villain point of view, which is Wanda, bringing it back up from there. She still is obviously there to go find the kids from another universe. That's the whole thing. She's dealing with huge bereavement. Understandably, we can understand the motivation behind that. If it turns out all she needed to do was probably like 1 hour online counseling, or literally 5 minutes YouTube TED Ed talk to inspire her to change her mind, because all America Chavez has turned around and said, like, look at your kids, look at them, they're frightened of you. Is this the type of mother you want to be? Have you even asked them that they would like you to be part of their world? And she's like, no. Like, oh yeah, you're right, they are scared of me. Oh yeah, you're right, they are very happy. What mother doesn't want happiness for their children? That was it. Like, what the hell did you waste my entire 2 hours on that roller coaster? America Chavez was just there to be a keyhole, really, a keychain, like someone to unlock doors from different multiverses. That was the whole purpose of her existence. Her little arc, like I've lost my parents, I need to go and find them. It's like, well, and like there was nothing else really evolved into it. She was just she's not even an apprentice role with Doctor Strange. She was just literally a keychain. That's all she was. A lanyard that he had to carry all the way across from different dimensions. And even still, it made me fall out with Doctor Strange more. I felt like he was a bit of a villain, if anything, in his own series, because that poor man that he put a freaking curse for him to slap himself for 3 weeks. Like, I should not be thinking this way, especially that it's meant to be a background character, an extra, someone who did an extra role, probably got paid maybe £1,000 at tops, and all he did was he put a poor spell, a spell on this poor dude that made him slap himself for 3 weeks, and the post end credit is just him spell breaking away and him laughing at the camera like a hysterical clown. Like, dude, if it happened to me, if someone put a curse like that on me, and bear in mind the poor fella didn't even know when it was gonna end, I probably would have jumped off a bridge by like within 2 days. I'm not gonna live like that for the rest of my life. And if anything, when it did snap out of it, I would be suffering from severe PTSD. I would be wanting to chop off my hand straight away so it never happened again. Like, oh my god, like literally, you have turned Doctor Strange in my eyes into a villain. He's literally a villain in that entire story arc. I am not. I don't. What were the writers thinking? Oh, well, we'll move on because that, in its own way, is absolutely. That just shows where they lost track of like everything that they've been doing recently. Miss Marvel. Okay, right, here we go. See, right, do I go on a bit of a rant with this because someone from someone from Pakistani background, and obviously from an Islamic background as well. Do we talk about this a bit? I just want to say this straight. I'm a 30-year-old guy. I may share the same culture and religion point of view as the characters, and they're trying to introduce that to make it more open, make it more diverse. Like, okay, right, here we go. It wasn't for me. Like, I already know myself. I already know who I am. Like, I don't need this. It's a kids show. It felt like a 1990s Power Rangers series that I was watching for 6 episodes, and um, there's a couple of things that I feel like it missed a massive nail on the head for me. But then again, I understand it was for a kids show, and at least I got to see a perspective, I'll say, of from a kid's point of view of it, because my missus' family, majority of her cousins are like 4 to 13 years old, so they fit into that category, and they loved the series. They absolutely did, and I feel like, okay, I appreciate that they got some sort of representation on there. Maybe it's nothing that I grew up with. I don't know what I missed out on because I didn't grow up with that. But in my eyes, if I want freaking representation, I only have to go down to my local mosque, and I'm surrounded by a group of people with experiences or life experiences that I can have a great conversation with. I don't need to. I know where to find that source of representation for myself. I don't need it on TV. I don't need it to be a product, I guess, to be fed across onto for me. But yeah, like I said, I'm not its demographic audience. I completely understand that, but I feel like I just don't like being like be I've said this beforehand. Don't treat me like I'm a minority. Like, what minority? You tell me what minority. What, I live in a Western country, in a Western society. I'm a minority automatically. I belong to the second biggest religious group in the world. I'm not a minority. Alright, numbers don't lie. Okay. If you're talking about the subcontinent as well, because the Pakistani culture has a lot more in common with the Indian culture, then literally, if you combine Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh population, the subcontinent together, it makes up more than 35%, I believe, of the world's population. If you put China on top, I know it's more than 40 plus 45%. So, where is my minority numbers? Like, where is it? It's not there. And if they're gonna do that as well, and they showed the partition of India and Pakistan, then then they did it in a very light manner where it didn't show the real emotional impact. Because if people who know their history will know that that's a very, very, very dark period of time in humanity's history, and of course there was a lot of chaos, life loss. In fact, from my grandma's generation, the stories over there that will always be carried, and it's one of those things that has caused a huge division amongst these two nations for a while. But they tried to introduce not only that cultural aspect sides of Kamala Khan's history and her background and her her unique diversity, you could say, but also they tried to introduce the Islamic side of things, which are two separate things. Like you can't, culture and religion don't mix. Like I can't believe I'm having to say this in the 21st century. It's not, ethnicity doesn't define your religion. At the end of the day, I'm putting that down as a simpler method form. I do. If you're talking about culture, then yes, I do have more in common with an Indian person made from a Hindu or Sikhism background than I would have with an Arab person from an Islamic background. That's just how that works. That simple as it gets. Just like a white British person, for example, will have more in common with someone that's from a black British background, growing up in the same area, than they would have from an American that's growing up in South America that same skin color as them. It's just, that's culture. That's how that works. Like, geez, sorry that I'm having to explain that, but I feel like sometimes the writers completely seem to forget that that's how the world works. So there we go. That's my little rant on that. For Love and Thunder, we're gonna go with B over there. Right. So again, right. So where do we begin with this one? Because Ragnarok would have easily got an S, 100% S any day of the week, and it fell. It just goes to show that too much of something can be distasteful as well. Everyone enjoys cake, but if you eat too much cake, you get diabetes, and you end up being obese and having all these other health issues that come along with that. And I think that's the best way I can put it forward for four, because like, is it the director called Tahiti Wakati? I don't know. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. I'm not gonna take my time to research it. But anyway, he played Gork, which is a big rock monster. Great one-hit liner, a bit of a funny character. Way too overexposed in this movie. Absolutely ruined him. I never want to see him again. He just became annoying with his narration and everything. I just didn't like any of that. For his own movie, again, he's an established character. I don't think there's much arc or progress that they did with him. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of comedy in its own way. Sometime involved that was hit right. Storyline was very basic, but not to the point where it was bad. It was just basic in a sense. And I think the other thing is as well with Gorg, the God Destroyer. If you know the comic books, then holy crap, what hell of a character to introduce. The fact that I even knew that Christian Bale was going to play him, I was like really, really excited, because we all know the talents of Christian Bale. Absolutely formidable actor. I don't know if he's ever won an Oscar, but damn right he deserves one, if anything, from all his past performances. But yeah, I don't think he had the chance to develop into that character as much as he would like to, because obviously it's meant to be, again, like I mentioned, a family-friendly product. I think he had the time frame to do that, which is a missed opportunity. He did as good as he can do, given the pieces that he had to work with Gorg. But I'd like to have seen a lot more of the darker side of it. We got, again, a taste of it, but not to the point where we can, we had the whole palette of what Gorg can be like. And I think some people were a bit aggressive towards, Jane Foster. And I'll be honest, I think that I'm looking at a different point of view, and I actually enjoyed the angle with her, because at the end of the day, she's like obviously going for a very severe terminal illness, which is a very, very dark time for anyone dealing with that. For her to be a hero, like you say, one last time to battle against the odds, it's some sort of cheesy positive message behind that, but a message that I feel like some people could do with, especially for any family that's dealing with that sort of trauma in their life. I think, if anything, it's nice to give them that energy over there. And I think Jane Foster's character did show that side of knowing, despite all well, her cancer eventually going to be able to consuming her. She did what she can do, given that at times that she left, and being a hero for or for the team overall. But it was like, oh, here we go, another woman power, another woman power. So I'm like, no, this is not woman power. Come on, guys, like this ain't the time to say that. This was more of a time to like, sit back and like shut up and enjoy it. That's what I felt like. A lot of people missed that point of view with it. Right, so we're not, like I said, we're not doing IM Group. We've got She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Okay, oh, the internet is famous for this one, isn't it? They really, really didn't like this. And if it was the internet, they would put it here easily, but I'm going to put it here. Like, right, okay, I'm going to get a lot of backlash now. A lot of people are going to be questioning my taste. So, again, we got to think of the target audience, and the target audience isn't single males by any means necessary. It's definitely not for single males, and maybe because obviously I probably understand the feminine point of view that's trying to share a bit more, because I guess my wife is, you could say, um, I'm not even saying my wife. I've got a lot of different female influences in my life, and I kind of get the struggles of like the dating scenes in the 30s, or that trying to do with professionals, being professional whilst in this sort of atmosphere, in this world that they're involved around. And it's not male bashing in a sense, although they definitely did do that in the show. I'm just saying, like, I understand the struggle, so that's why I can understand the jokes. Although I do feel like there was a lot of unnecessary bashing involved in different areas, which I can get why some people were angry. But here's the thing, right? The show wasn't trying to take itself too seriously. If the show was trying to take itself seriously, then I would have probably easily given it a D. But the way that ended, it was wild. It was off. It was wrong. But freaking hell, they tried. I'm giving a B for try. It's more like, when that kid that is one of the dumbest kids in the class, but damn it, he did his best. That episode in Simpsons where Bart, no matter how hard he tried, he wanted to get better than D. This is what I feel like it is for me. Like, She-Hulk, you tried, and I'm giving you this because you tried something, and that's where my point of view is for that. And I'll give, like I said, I don't want people to kill off their creativity. Will I want a second season on this? No, I guess not. I won't mind seeing She-Hulk again in the future, but I just don't think a series is good enough for her. I don't know where she's gonna fit in the MCU. We'll have to establish that. Um, until then, we've got a lot of twerking memes vids that's gonna be posted in between that time frame. Werewolf by Night, B again, I guess. Right, so let me just quickly check the time. I'm conscious of the time as well. So it's been about 40 minutes on the stream. So right, Werewolf by Night. It was good. Nothing great, nothing extraordinary, nothing out of nothing fancy. Let's just say. But at the same time, like, it was. I guess it was just nothing special. That's the honest truth. I can't talk about it much because there's really nothing to really talk about. It was just brain dead TV for a while, and I said it was all right. That's simple as it gets. That's sometimes you don't need anything magnificent, but it fit well enough to be okay. Wakanda Forever, I'm gonna give it a C. And again, I'm very, very disappointed with Wakanda Forever because I love Black Panther. And I'm disappointed with it on a couple of reasons for that. And I think the main aspect is because Wakanda Forever obviously did have a lot of challenges to face, especially with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. May he rest in peace. But also at the same time, I feel like they didn't hit the nail on the head as quite as good enough as they did on the first one. The first one I would have even put as an A or an S. Again, like, the internet would think differently about that, but let me tell you something for a fact. The reason why this has dropped down for a C, because I think there's there's stuff out there where I feel like the messages is getting portrayed in a bit in a correct manner, and there's it's just I just don't want it to go down a direction of it just being turned into like some sort of, I guess, or use us as a propaganda tool. Like that's where I'm fearing that it might be coming down towards that. For example, right? Okay, like the more, okay, we understand his story arc. We understand why he's doing what he is doing, um, and the message of bereavement and grief over there is universal, and that's one thing I can say was really really powerful in that. In fact, even that scene where the Queen, I forgot her name, but she put a speech out there saying like, I'm the leader of the most powerful nation, and my family are all gone. I've not sacrificed everything, and the acting on that scene was saying like, "Whoa, wow, that's really good." She's really freaking captured that moment. So it had parts out there that were like that, but then it let itself down because it got a bit too full of itself in its own sense. Like, firstly, I don't like the word using colonists. Like, stop that because it's used in a derogatory manner. Don't do that, please. I would never call anyone a colonist. And hell, as you explain in Miss Marvel background, I've come from a background that could say that that's happened in my culture, but I'm not gonna put that as an insult, especially in a derogatory manner to people that's not done anything wrong to me. Like, yeah, time it's not that far of a history as well. I'm fully aware of that, but again, at the same time, we must each learn to love, peace, and forgive. And using old wounds will always cause divisions amongst the community. Secondly, as well, this is another thing. Like, I watched a lot of people doing reviews on this for a lot of people from black backgrounds, from multi black backgrounds, by the way, not just like, I think there's another thing is, again, we're gonna go into culture dive. A lot of people think, oh, black community, like black as in general black. Like, no, there's black African Americans, there's black people in the UK that have a different culture. African blacks are completely different. Africa's got many multiple countries, 50 plus countries, in fact. So where do we even start with that? And even that is holds a variety of ethnically diverse people, West Indies, etc. We could all go on. The list could be brought forward, and I'm watching these different points of view that it said like, oh, you tried to create a relational, like one line for example is like, oh, what it's like it's difficult being young, black and grifted. Like, what do you mean, love? You're in Harvard. You're in freaking Harvard. 99.99% of people don't even get that sort of privilege. It doesn't matter their skin color. I know white people that don't get that privilege. I know black people that don't get that privilege. I know brown people. I know every type of people that don't have that privilege. So the fact that say I'm this is I am a completely unique product. Like, you are unique already because you're part of the 0.001%. And if you want even more uniqueness, then guess what? Yeah, you're your own individual. You dive, like, this is just what it is, guys. I just want to get that off my chest a bit because I think, like, I'm hoping that the message that they carried on for the first one, especially the legacy behind it, doesn't get overshadowed by political correctness, and that's one thing I'm extremely worried about because I love that movie. I would like to watch that with my kids in the future. I think it's a very powerful representation and a good vibe for the black community. But if you let Disney handle it much, much longer, if you let the political wokeness agenda handle it much, much longer, then it could be destroyed. And I'm actually looking at it from that point of view. And I got people from that background that even that I'm aware are worried that it's just being used as a propaganda machine. And hopefully that's not the case. Wakanda Forever, you have to be a C. You need to really, 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 really please step up in the third one, especially the actress. She's incredible. She's been in multiple stuff, and she could easily become a great Black Panther. But she's got to need the right storyline for it as well. I forgot again. Sorry, I don't know the actress's name, but I'm aware of other contents of Black Mirror and a lot of TV series that she did in the UK prior to becoming Hollywood famous. So yeah, that's it. I think we're good on the list. Are we good? Yeah. Oh wait, sorry guys, we forgot about what's it called? Um, oof, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it. Right. So let me get back onto Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll put a picture up over here. Where do I even put Guardians of the Galaxy? That was a bit of fun, isn't it? It's a bit of a Christmas joyful movie spirit. I give it an A. In terms of Christmas, it's as cheesy as corny as I guess. It was very cheesy and corny, and it filled all the Christmassy, cheesy and corny vibe. But like, where can you go? If it's not meant to take itself seriously. At the end of the day, it's meant to be a bit of fun and laughter. And you know what? It was a nice closing for the day, for the year. I think they did the right thing, just putting that up on Disney Plus. And I don't know if this day and age how it's like for people that celebrate Christmas, if they gather around the fire stove and watch a family movie, if it's anything cheesy like that. But I doubt it is as much. But I feel like something like this can still be that, can create that environment where families are gathering around watching Guardians of the Galaxy on Christmas and having a good old time. Nice little Disney image you could say to close it off with. But yeah, that's it, guys. Really, that's it. I forgot the political rights over there. These are the things. Sometimes we do go through that, but that at the end of the day, I think I got a good list over there. I think I got compiled. And as I explained, I'm my own individual person. I am my, this is my list overall. You don't have to agree with it. I know there's going to be a lot of things that people don't agree with it, and I'm hoping Phase 5 will get around on a tier list on that once that gets completed. But fingers crossed you enjoyed this. This thing's gone much longer than I wanted it to do, but you know what? Someone out there is gonna probably sit through from the entire 0 minutes to the 50+ minutes that it is, and actually might think like, damn, that was a waste of time. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to jump aboard on my Twitch channel. The links will be in the description. Appreciate it once again, and as always, wish you all a great day. Peace be upon you all.